So good morning. Usual rules with Bondholder event. If you mute, feel free to use the chat line as some of you are already. And at the end of the session, if you wish to network with bondholder colleagues, stay on and Lindsay will allocate you to a networking room. So if you've got that time, you're really, really welcome to do it because it's one of the things that people miss most. I'm not able to stay with us this morning because I'm giving a presentation at the university. So I'm going to hand over in a couple of seconds to Jimmy Drew, Commercial Manager at Derbyshire County Cricket Club, who used to work in this manner at Marketing Derby. So Jimmy knows the ropes as well as anybody. And Jimmy will then kind of chair the rest of the session, including presentations and chats and films, including with real live cricket players. So always a really, really interesting insight that we get in the Q&A section of that particular event. The only other thing I want to say in introductory comments is we are working this week on the programme, the summer programme, if you like, that'll take us to the summer break. There are a couple of those dates out already, but there will be more to come. And as I kind of hinted at earlier, we are hoping to bring in some hybrid events. One of the things that you might have picked up is the Alfresco marketplace is being rebuilt outside of the office at the moment. Some of you will remember going there last summer. Marketing Derby is sponsoring one of the chalets on behalf of bondholders, so you will see a Marketing Derby presence there. And at some point, we do host an event there too, so look out for that one. So, as I said, this is normally, I think, one of the brightest and bushiest sessions of the year, and really interesting to hear what the plans are over at the Derbyshire County Cricket Club. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Jimmy Drew, Commercial Manager, and over to you, Jimmy, who'll take it from here. So, good morning, Jimmy.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many familiar faces on the call, lots of Marketing Derby bondholders, some of our own 1870 Business Club members, and some of those that also kind of fit both those categories. So, yeah, good morning. We're very bright and sunny in Cora County ground here in Derby. As John mentioned, this is the second year we've had to run our events via Zoom. So let's hope that in 2022 will be third time lucky and we can get you back here in person and you can enjoy our delightful breakfast that we normally serve up. To get you in the cricketing mood, we've got a short video to show you. Then you'll hear further from me for a couple of minutes and then we'll be straight on to the panellists. So let me just try and get this to work.
Manson is on fire. Another opportunity. Really well taken. Wonderful catch. Oh, that's brilliant. That is absolutely magnificent. What a brilliant, brilliant catch from Critchley.
Hoping you could all hear and see that. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention before we hear from Ryan, our CEO. Some of you may have seen the news yesterday, but the promoter for the Michael Bublé concert has postponed this year's date, and it's been rescheduled for next year, which is on Saturday, the 9th of July. We'll also be launching our Christmas party nights over the next week, so I know some of you have been to those previously. So again, look out for some sort of more news on that over the next week or so. And it's also just been announced this morning that we'll be hosting another England women's game here at the Cora County ground, which is a one-day international against New Zealand on Thursday, the 23rd of September. So hopefully by that stage we can we're able to get lots of people back into the ground for that. But that's kind of building on us being one of the host venues for the Women's World Cup back in 2017. One thing we normally do at the start of the season event would be talk to you about all the opportunities we have available here at the club over the summer. We're not going to do that in that much detail today, but all I would say is that if anyone does want to find out about any of the sponsorship or advertising or match day hospitality opportunities we have available, then please get in contact with me directly after this call. Be happy to have a conversation with you and also sort of share our 2021 corporate brochure. As John mentioned, there will be opportunity for people to ask questions. So when you're listening to the panelists, if you've got any questions to ask, probably the easiest option is put them in the chat box, and then hopefully at the end we'll have time to kind of go through those. Right then, so we've got lots to get through over the next hour. So without any further ado, I'd please welcome our first panellist, Derbyshire County Cricket Club's Chief Executive, Ryan Duckett.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, everyone.
Right, Ryan, I think during our last start of the season event, which was actually August last year, which was very different because normally we do these in April, we were right in the middle of hosting sort of biosecure camps for the international teams. How did that go for the club, and why was it so important, not just for us, but also the wider game?
Just before I get stuck into that question, Jimmy, I was just talking to yourself and Lindsay just prior to letting everyone in that I think it was about the third week in March last year. We were planning for our marketing derby breakfast on the 2nd of April. I think it was due to be, and there was lots of questions. Will it or won't it go ahead? And we were very unsure what was going to happen, weren't we? We obviously cancelled it and thought we were going to have a little bit of lockdown for a couple of months, and then things would get back to normal. And here we are, more than a year later. A lot of us still working from home, and a lot of our businesses still impacted. So little do we know how the year was going to unfold, and it's been quite a year for us. We at this time last year, we weren't sure. Lots of people were saying there would be no cricket whatsoever, and there was huge uncertainty on revenue streams. And people were saying, well, what if domestic cricket doesn't go ahead? We had an idea of what that impact would be for us, but when you looked at the wider game, and the big question was, would international cricket go ahead? And if it didn't go ahead, what would the impact on the game? And the answer to that question is £200 million of funding would have impacted the game, and not just at international level and professional cricket level. It'd go right down to grassroots level of cricket. So it'd have been huge and massively impact on a lot of clubs at all levels, and probably sent a lot of them bust. So it was massively important for the game, not just at professional level, but grassroots level, that the international cricket schedule went ahead. So the ECB led with a number of high-profile sports, putting together a plan to deliver cricket or sport in general in a biosecure environment. So the ECB were looking for a venue with good cricket facilities, but also a hotel on site. And thankfully, the Ancora County Ground had the travel lodge right next to the ground. So we were an ideal fit for what the ECB were looking for. So they approached us and pretty much appealed to us to do our bit to protect the game's finances. And for obvious reasons, we were keen to do that. But we had to get our players and coaches to agree to play all our matches away from home when they were due to start in August, which they duly did. And fantastic support from the players and coaches there, and they had to do a lot more miles and stay in a lot more hotels across the country. So great support from them and understanding. But it was not just about protecting the game's finances. At the time, we weren't quite aware that it would have positive impact on our own finances as well. So it replaced quite a lot of revenue. We lost last year £1.8 million of our budgeted revenue. But by hosting these training camps, it allowed us to bring in some higher fees from the ECB and the ICC for hosting these matches. But it also allowed us to leverage some extra value for some of our partners as well. So the likes of Ancora and a number of others got quite a lot of good exposure from us hosting these games. So we helped safeguard £200 million of funding in this country, which really did protect the game at all levels, but it also had financial upside for us as well. And the feedback we got from the ECB and the international teams, we hosted the Pakistan international men's team, Australia men, and England and West Indies women's teams, and the feedback was absolutely fantastic. Our ops team did a great job, enjoyed the facilities and enjoyed the hospitality they were put there. And I think it was clearly good or really crucial for the game in this country, a positive for us financially, but also brought, I think, good profile for the city of Derby as well, and the Ancora County Ground. So there was lots of positives from doing it. And I think it, one thing, just going back to the profile as well, I think, Jimmy, you might be able to add some to this, but the viewing figures, we had 5 games IT20 games between England women and West Indies, and I think the TV coverage was fantastic, not only on Sky but also I think it was the first women's international match been covered on the BBC for about 25 years. So great exposure for the women's game, but also for the city and the Incora County ground.
No, you're right. Yeah, the viewing figures, in particular for that third T20, like you say, the one that was both on Sky and the BBC simultaneously, was huge. And yeah, if anyone wants to sort of see the figures, we've got a document we can share with people on that. But yeah, great exposure for the club and for the city as well. Ryan, you've just touched on kind of financials there. I mean, obviously it's been tough for not just cricket but sport and many sectors overall over the last year. What's the kind of current position of the club?
Yeah, I think we're better than we imagined we would be at this time last year. There was huge uncertainty whether cricket was going to go ahead, and I mentioned safeguarding the international, the £200 million revenue, which obviously all doesn't come to us, but we get a share of that. So what we were quite not unsure how long it was going to go on for. I think none of us at this point, at senior executive and board level, thought that the pandemic was going to go on for over a year and would still be in uncertain times. But thankfully, we decided to be very proactive. So we deferred some of our overseas players' contracts, which saved us quite a lot of costs. We, like a lot of businesses, used the government support, the job retention scheme fund, and we put a lot of our staff on furlough leave to protect the business. And unfortunately, we did make some redundancies. I think I did the numbers, sadly, and I think we lost 42% of our permanent workforce. So we were very, very proactive, and unfortunately that impacted on a lot of individuals, but we felt with all our revenue streams significantly under threat that's what we needed to do. So but then thankfully, as I said, we lost 1.8 million, but with the cost savings we made and the upside of hosting the biosecure training camps and matches, also our members, we appealed to our members, and a lot of our members donated their membership fees. And we also had fantastic support from a lot of our official partners and 1870 business club members. I think there's a few of you on your call, so the likes of Incora, RDS Global, Nelson's, I've seen Martin on this call, Shevin Holmes, Aston Lark, EVAD, Purpose Media. I can see a few of you on this call. So, and if I've missed any of you, apologies, but huge support from, as we've had for ever since I've been at the club, brilliant support from the business community. And without that support, we would have been in a lot more challenging position than we are at the moment. The reality is our P&L and our cash position was a lot better than we envisaged at this time last year. The reality is, though, we're going to need it, because 2021 is just as uncertain year at the moment. We're about to host our first domestic game at the Incora County ground for well over a year, starting on Thursday, but we're behind closed doors. So again, our commercial revenue streams are massively impacted on ticketing. Hopefully we'll get crowds in at some point in the not too distant future. Our non-cricket events business is very challenging for obvious reasons at the moment. I can see a few of you on this call who are in that sector, and it is hugely challenging at the moment with the restrictions we've got in place. So we are in a good cash position at the moment, and 2020 was a lot better than we anticipated. However, we're mindful we need to protect our cash as much as we can to ride what is still an uncertain time, and hopefully things will get back to normal quickly. But we've had to be proactive to protect the business. But we are, I think, in a lot better position than we thought we might have been this time last year.
Great. Yeah, we just touched on the fact that so the season got underway last week at Edgbaston, and we've got our first home game this Thursday. What's been kind of the biggest challenges getting ready for this season? Because, like you say, it's very different to how we'd normally gear up for a start of the season.
Yeah, it's just the uncertainty, Jimmy. I mean, we've got to putting in place. Thankfully the experience we had of delivering that we were a bio secure venue for 3 months. So we've had a lot of experience of delivering with very strict protocols in place, so that stood us in good stead. But that is complex, and it is costly as well to deliver. I'm sure lots of you have seen increases in cost delivering with the bias or the COVID overlay. It's probably referenced. It is challenging, and the difficulty for us at the moment is knowing exactly what we can sell. We have lots of inquiries, which is fantastic, but it's just not knowing exactly what we can deliver, and we're using the roadmap to plan as best we can, but it is still difficult. So, and how there's still talk now. We're hoping that from the 21st of June we'll get back to 100% crowds, and I think there's been some positive moves. The fact that one of the pilots the government are having at the Crucible is 100% crowd is a positive sign. But at this stage, we're not that far away, a couple of months away from that, and there's still talk about vaccine passports and testing certificates and everything else. But it's still not known if that's definitely going to be the case. So we are. One of the key things for us is we plan, but make decisions as late as possible. That's kind of been our thing for the last year, really.
And then based on the government's kind of current roadmap, so we should be allowed, as things stand, spectators back in after May the 17th. So for us, that with a 4-day game against Durham starting on Thursday, the 20th of May. That must be something the club, the players, spectators are all looking forward to.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously you've got Sam and Lewis and Ajmal on here, and it's brilliant that we're back playing cricket, but everyone wants crowds back in. We obviously want crowds back in from a commercial perspective, but from a personal perspective, I love watching my sport, and I can see a lot of you on here who all enjoy watching sport, and it's been good coverage on TV, isn't it? You can't beat the experience and atmosphere of being at the ground, and I'm sure that's the same for the players as well. Whilst they're enjoying playing cricket, they want the buzz and the atmosphere of crowds back in. So if we achieve the roadmap, and we've retrieved the first date, which was yesterday, wasn't it? Delighted to see hairdressers open and other things, but the challenge for us is that 25% is brilliant, and it's a first step in the right direction, but we're still not making money at 25%. But it's same for restaurants, I suppose, at the moment with those restrictions that are in place. It's a first step, but it's still not really commercially viable. So hopefully it's this first stepping stone to when we can get back to at least 50% and hopefully 100% after the 21st of June. So it's a key date for us, and the signs are really positive. I mean, we have decided to put all our matches on sale, and the sales are really, really positive. They're ahead of the curve of where we would normally be for some of our matches. So the signs are that people are really desperate to get back watching live sport, which is fantastic. So a key date for us is, as you suggest, Jimmy, from the 17th of May. Our first match is after that is the 20th of May, when we can have 25% crowds in. But hopefully after the 21st of June we can be back to 100% crowds. And I think just quite good timing, Jimmy. I'm sure you're probably going to give a little bit more detail on this at some point, but the day after that, the 22nd of June, is what we've put in for our marketing derby, Bondholder beer and Balti. It's I can see one or two of you on here who've had a lively night in the past at that, so hopefully that we can do that again and host you from there. So pencil that date in, fingers crossed.
I saw David Torrington smiling in particular on that one. Yeah, just a couple of final questions for you, if that's all right. So I mean, a bit of a tricky one here, but what would you say is the biggest learning or learnings the club's made through this kind of pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, so many really. I mean, it's been amazingly, it's gone fast as this year, so fast because we've been so busy. And I think a lot of it is because as I said, we were very proactive and put a lot of our staff on furlough leave to try and protect the business, as a lot of people did, and it was the right thing to do, utilise that support. So we've had a core team, and I think it's just amazing, really seeing what a good core team that we've got. That's been a real, learning for us. I think I was pretty confident with it anyway, but it just really came to the fore, the core team. I think the loyalty of our sponsors and members, you know, again, is something that has been fantastic during this year. But I think two key things from a business perspective. I think the communication we've had with the likes of our members, and hopefully the sponsors around here have appreciated what we've done. I think that's been a key for us in keeping people involved. But I think I used it earlier, is the planning. So we've done so much planning as a small team, but we're just leaving decisions as late as possible. And I still think that is where at the moment we are doing lots of planning for crowds coming back in, but we're leaving decisions as late as possible. And that's what we've got to do at the moment. Whereas I think I've learned, you know, from feedback about from other clubs, they've been making decisions really early and regretting it, making commitments. So I think one of the key things from this at the moment, normally you would be doing planning and making decisions well in advance of things, but actually it's almost the opposite this time. We're leaving decisions as late as is practically possible, and I think that's been a key learning over this period, and will continue with the case certainly for the next couple of months, I think.
And then just finally, aside from cricket, what else can people on the call today look forward to what we've got on offer over the next year or so?
Yeah, so unfortunately, you might have seen the news yesterday that because of the uncertainty of crowds coming back in and how it is going to look, I say we're hopeful that we will get to 100%, but certain companies, certain promoters have already made the call on concerts. So unfortunately, AEG, who the promoter we're working in partnership with on the Michael Bublé concert, they've made the decision to postpone again. It was supposed to be, I think, the 29th of July 2020. And then it was going to be 20th of July this year. It is now going to be the 9th of July 2022. And those of you who've been to our Marketing Derby Bondholder events before will remember we usually have 1 or 2 games and competitions to win VIP tickets for our concert. So hopefully next April we'll be able to have you back at the Encora County Ground, and we'll have to hopefully give the opportunity to win some tickets for that concert. But it's going to be a great night. So that is disappointing that it's been postponed, but I suppose understandable when you've got such a complex tour to put in place, and with the uncertainty that is still there. However, on the back of that, we are having other positive conversations about other concerts for next year as well. So hopefully we can replace the loss of this year's concert revenue with hosting another concert on top of Michael Bublé next year. So that is a disappointing one. On a more positive note, we are later this week, I'm looking at Tom on our screen, I think, is it maybe Friday? We are looking to launch for the last few years, or I said up to 2019, we'd hosted some West End musical events. So we are hosting the West End cast of Tina, and there's going to be a Tina Turner concert. Not Tina Turner herself, but West End cast members from the musical Tina. So we'll be announcing that. They've proved really popular. We've hosted We Will Rock You and Mamma Mia, which have been really popular. So we'll be announcing that. That's going to be on the 21st of August. And we'll have our fireworks night at the Encora County Ground on the 5th of November. That's going to be Friday, the 5th of November. We will, in the not too distant future, be announcing our Christmas party programme. We are hopeful that as restrictions are lifted and the vaccine is rolled out, we'll be able to host our popular Christmas party nights again. And we are starting to get inquiries and bookings for events particularly for the second half of the year, as suggested, because we deliver the biosecure training camps and matches. We're very confident we can deliver really safe venues with COVID safe overlay. So if anyone is interested in looking to booking events, whatever it might be, we can deliver it. We've had a lot of experience over the last year, albeit very different to what we delivered previously. So lots of positive things to be announced in the next week. And I think, you know, the key is that hopefully we're hoping this the 21st of June, from then things will start to really move forward in a positive direction for us all.
That's great. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate your time. Ryan's going to stay on the call. So as I mentioned at the start, if anyone's got any questions for Ryan, then please use the chat facility, and hopefully we'll get a chance at the end to do that. Right, I can see that he's on the call. So our next panelist, located somewhere, I'm guessing, between Bradford and Derby, is Ajmal Shahzad. Ajmal, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Thanks for joining this morning. So Ajmal joined the club a couple of months ago. He's our assistant coach and bowling leads. Ajmal, similar to Ryan, I've just got a few questions, and then I know you've got a busy day, so you've got time to spend in Derby before then heading down to Northampton for the second team game. As a player, you represented Yorkshire, Lancashire, Notts, Sussex, and Leicestershire, whilst also playing for England in 1 Test match, 11 one-day internationals, and 3 T20s. When you were developing as a youngster, when did you think you could first make it as a professional cricketer?
Well, I think it was when you start to spend a bit of time in and around the sort of dressing room I was in. I was lucky enough to be around Darren Gough, Matthew Hoggard, Michael Vaughan. I mean, the list is endless. You know, Tim Bresnan, Anthony McGrath, Craig White. You know, I was around some serious players at the time who, again, were all playing for England. And so, you know, I started off playing in the second 11, met a few of those boys on my journey there, whilst they were trying to get some game time. And then when I got the chance just to even be 12th man in and around that first team dressing room, it was just a great experience and learning for me. And also gave me an insight into what it looked like to perform at that sort of level. You know, I came through an environment where it was always told, it was always said that, you know, a strong Yorkshire was going to be a strong England. And so, and it just so happened that a lot of these boys within the dressing room were playing for England at the time. So I think it was when I spent a bit of time in that environment, and I was starting to hold my own, put some performances in, started to build some strong relationships with those sorts of gents. I knew that, you know, I was somewhere there and thereabouts. I think there's, you know, you always dream and hope of playing and representing your country, but I guess you don't really know if you're going to make it or if you're not. But it was just nice to be able to put some performances in that environment, and then luckily getting the call up and yeah, got to spend not as much time as I'd hoped, but got to spend a little bit of time at the international level.
Yeah, and just on that, in terms of kind of representing England, what was that experience like for you, sort of sharing a dressing room with, you know, some great players? Obviously, you mentioned the Yorkshire guys, but, you know, just other players from other counties as well. You know, what was your kind of first feeling when you went into that dressing room for that first game?
It's quite daunting, actually. I mean, the England dressing room was different. It looked different. You know, I was around the likes of KP, Jonathan Trott, Ian Bell, some of the greats, actually, some of the greats of the game. Jimmy, Tim Bresnan, Graham Onions was playing. Stephen Finn just made his debut. So I was in and around a very, very strong dressing room. So it was quite daunting initially, but Straussy, who was my captain at the time, KP, and Swanee in particular, made it really, really easy for me to fit into that environment and to feel like I was one of the boys. I met up with them at Lord's. I fondly remember, actually, I was half an hour late for the meeting. I slept in on my first ever meeting with England. So it was a very memorable meeting. But no, they were good fun. They cracked jokes. You know, they made me feel like I was central to that, a pivotal part of the dressing room. So no, it was good. As I mentioned, it was quite daunting initially, but, you know, I had good people around me who made me feel welcomed and part of something special.
You may have kind of answered this next question in what you've just said then, but looking back on your playing career, what would you say was your biggest highlights?
I mean, I mentioned this in an interview about a week ago. I was lucky enough to play for a number of counties, and I think as much as I would have loved to be a one county man, because it was something special when I was playing, those experiences in different dressing rooms with different players has kept me in really good stead now as a coach. To see loads of different individuals work differently, see how coaches go about their business in their own way. But for me, the most special, I guess, the most special period and special moment in my cricketing career was receiving my first team cap for Yorkshire. Purely because I worked incredibly hard for it. it took me a while, and it was we had a bit of a cap system in those days. You had to take X amount of wickets and X amount of runs in order to be in a position to get your first team cap, and also it was what do you offer to the dressing room, not only with your numbers, not only with your wickets and runs, but actually as a person. And so I worked incredibly hard on that in second 11 cricket and in first 11 cricket when I was there. And then to be offered or to be given my first team cap was a very, very special moment. So I hold that's very, very close to my heart and very dear to my heart. As nice as it was to receive my England cap, it was the Yorkshire one that actually I think I worked the hardest.
Great. And although you have retired now, I'm sure you could still do a job. So if you ever want to play for our local team, just let me know. We do great teas. I'm sure we can probably not charge you match fee either. But yeah, obviously you've retired from playing and now you've got into coaching. You worked at the MCC before joining Derbyshire a couple of months ago. Was coaching an area kind of you always wanted to get into?
So the honest answer to that is no. I didn't. You leave the game, but when I left the game, I didn't actually think I was going to leave the game. I still had, at 35 now, I left the game three years ago. I still felt as if I had a lot to offer to the game, but opportunities just weren't there. Me and my wife had just started a young family, and responsibilities take over. And so, I studied at school. I studied pharmacy, and then when I finished the game, my dad's an accountant, so I thought actually I'll start studying some accountancy and maybe take over the family business. And I think 6 months into that, I just thought to myself, this isn't for me. And my dad actually used to sit on the other side of the desk and look at me and think, son, I don't think this is for you. You've been an active, outgoing a sportsman all your life, and sitting behind a desk and doing paperwork from 8 till 6. I'm not sure it's going to be. I'm not sure it's a life for you. But I think I had to experience that. It made me appreciate actually how lucky I was to play the game and be a sportsman and do something I love every day. And then I also learned some tough lessons along the way. I remember looking for job opportunities in the accountancy industry on LinkedIn. Put my CV out there. Did the qualifications necessary to be a trainee accountant, and I think it was at 32, 33 years old, with very, very limited experience in any sort of accountancy background. Nobody was interested in looking at me. Those life experiences and life skills that you hope you pick up through the game, they just seem to not sit with anybody. The equivalent was a 17, 18-year-old who was just going into university or coming out of university, and wanted to go into the accountancy industry, and it seemed like they were a better option. And so it was a tough pill to swallow. And so I sat back then and thought, actually, where do my experiences lie? I think my value lies in my experience. And sorry guys, I lost you there. I just had a phone call. And it was in cricket, and so I started from scratch really. I knocked on doors. I knocked on so many doors actually until one opened up. I then also applied for a job on LinkedIn again at Ampleforth College in York, and was lucky enough to get an interview. Got the job. Spent a year in that environment, which was as tough as it gets. I thought lots of different age groups, working with lots of different children. And with varying skill sets, and so all of a sudden you're thinking on your feet constantly. You're trying to implement plans and programs, which it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's something that kept me grounded, and it was something that I needed at that time. I luckily then knocked on the right door with Stephen Kirby at the MCC, who gave me an opportunity to come and join him just for some work experience. And I jumped at the opportunity, and so I started to get involved with the MCC. Then I got some paid work from there. And then when Curbs moved on to Derbyshire, the opportunity came to be the head coach, and again threw my name in the hat, and 3 months later got the job. That was another really, really good learning opportunity for me. Head coach role now, something more demanding, with different sort of pressures. But again, loved every minute of it, and no better place to do that at the home of cricket. and then I just seem to I seem to keep following in Kelly's footsteps. And when he left Derbyshire and moved on to Somerset, the opportunity came. I threw my name in the hat again, and luckily got the opportunity. So it's probably been a bit of a roller coaster the last three and a half years, but I think I'm much better for it, and I'm really happy I've been through that process and had those experiences, because no doubt they'll keep me in good stead.
No, that's great. And obviously, it's great to have you at the club as well, Ajmal. Obviously, you've only been here a couple of months or so. And I know you've made a good impression so far on the players, but what have you been impressed with in terms of what you've seen, and what kind of progress are you hoping to sort of see from the guys this season?
Well, I know I've got Sam and Louis on the call, so I better be careful what I say. But look, I'm first and foremost, I'm around a great bunch of guys. They're good men. That comes first for me. They're good blokes. You can have good, honest conversations with them, and the cricket will take care of itself. We've got a youthful squad. We've obviously got more experienced batting lineup, and we've got quite an inexperienced bowling unit. However, with that comes lots of positives for me. They're like sponges. I'd like to think they want to learn, they want to get better, a real drive within them to be the best that they can possibly be. And not only do we see lots of opportunities within our first 11 setup, but actually the opportunities that lay ahead for some of these guys, whether it be international cricket in terms of the franchise game out there, or whether it's the England Lions setup, the main England setup. There's so many opportunities now for the younger lads in our setup to go on and really make an impression and put a stamp on the game. That it's just really exciting to be part of that, be part of their journey. I think we saw glimpses of it in our first game against Warwickshire. And hopefully we can continue to just keep developing and keep building on the good things that we've done and learn from the mistakes that we make. And I think I think we all know that with a junior, with a less experienced team, there's going to be there's going to be lots of failures and things that don't seem to go our way. But I think for me, more than anything, as long as we can learn from them, you don't learn so much from the stuff that you do well and the victories that you have. They just seem to happen. But if we can really learn from the mistakes that we make and the failures that we have, I think we'll be in a much better place sooner rather than later moving forward.
Superb. Thanks, Ajmal. I know you've got a busy day, so I'm going to stop asking you questions now. And no doubt you need to get back on the road anyway.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. I hope I'll see you guys soon. Yeah,
thanks for your time this morning.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, so moving swiftly on, we've now got Sam Connors. Sam, you just want to take yourself off mute. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all good. Cheers, mate.
Good stuff. Right, Sam. For those of you who don't know, you're relatively young, let's say, in terms of the age group. So what Ajmal was just saying in terms of kind of that makeup of the bowling unit. And after making your first class debut in 2019, over the last couple of years, become a bit of a red ball regular, opening the bowling in the last sort of year or so. How have you sort of coped with that sort of added pressure at such a young age?
I get asked this quite a lot, really. And for me, it's just trying to not look too far ahead. And basically, whenever I do get that ball in the hand, and just try and perform to the best of my abilities, really. I think it's important not to try and put too much pressure on myself. At a young age, I'm going to make mistakes, and that's just part of the learning side of it. So for me, it's just trying not look too far ahead and not put too much pressure on myself.
That's great. And you do seem to have a knack of picking up a wicket in your first or second over. So hopefully that will continue all season. But is that something you kind of target specifically, looking to kind of get the team off to a good start?
That's what we speak about quite regular in the first 11 and probably in the second 11 too. It's just making sure that when you come on, you're giving the ball, that your first and second over, you're straight on it. And for me, opening the bowling, you want to set off the lads in a good start. And luckily, in the last couple of games, I've been able to get a wicket my first over, which helps the lads a lot and just gives them the extra boost that you need when you first go out there and just get the ball rolling, really.
And I guess that must also take the pressure off yourself a bit as well, that you already got one wicket under your belt in that game.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but that one wicket's not going to win the game. You've just got to keep running in, keep trying to take the wickets, keep getting the dots and just things like that. So yeah, it's nice to get that early wicket, but it's just that stepping stone for the rest of the game, really.
Okay, I know that a certain Jimmy Anderson gave good praise for you back in 2019. I mean, at the time, that must have been great to sort of hear that from one of the legends of the game.
Yeah, it was funny, really. I heard Hout say it on the radio, and I didn't quite believe it because Tank Curbs came over to me when he first said it, and I didn't quite believe it. But then when I heard it on the radio from Hout, I was like, oh, it must be quite true. And being my role model, Jimmy, yeah, it was quite a special feeling, really, knowing that he rates me as a bowler. But yeah, like that was in 2019 now, and I'm just looking now, just keep going and keep progressing, really.
And for you, what does it kind of mean to play for a county that you've sort of been part of for quite a number of years now, sort of through the academy?
Yeah, it means a lot. I've been here since under nines, so I've been here for quite a while now, and every year in the age groups, I just kept getting closer and closer. And then when it eventually did occur that I get my first contract, it meant so much to me. And every time I put the shirt on, just means that extra bit more and that extra bit of heart that when I run into bowl, and yeah, it just means a lot to me and to my family as well.
And last season, I mean, obviously it was difficult in some respects because there was a uncertainty around whether the season was even going to happen, and then it did get underway on the 1st of August. But all the games, obviously, all the domestic games were away from home, so you and the guys must be sort of keen as mustard to have supporters back into the grounds pretty soon now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've been waiting a while to get back to the Ancora County ground now. And we can't wait for the members to come back in as well and just have that extra buzz that we do get from the members when they're in. It's going to be funny running in for the first time back at the Ancora ground. I think it might take a while to get the rhythm back there. But yeah, we're all looking forward to it, and we're all dead excited when the members get back in as well.
No, that's great. Thanks, Sam. And yeah, again, if you're happy just to stay on for the last sort of 15 minutes or so, if anyone's got any questions at the end. But yeah,
Right.
Thanks for your time this morning.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, and our final panelist is Lewis Rees. Lewis, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Yeah, thanks for joining this morning. So for those of you who don't know, Lewis joined the club back in 2016. So this will be your 5th season for Derbyshire. Hopefully you've got some good memories already, and I'm hoping that you kind of feel settled at Derbyshire now.
Yeah, absolutely. It was probably when I joined, it was probably 50-50 whether I was going to carry on playing or not. Probably finished at Lancashire, not on the best of notes. Yeah, and it was something, obviously you sort of look for an opportunity, but it wasn't something I was sure that I wanted to continue with. Just the stuff that I went through there, and I suppose it was yeah, you just think, well, is my day done in the game, or is it time to or do you give it another go? And luckily, Derby got in contact with me and asked me to come on board, and it's been the best decision I've made professionally. Yeah, I've loved every minute of it. I think just the atmosphere and the way I was made to feel as soon as I walked through the gate is something that I'll never forget. And I've said it on a number of interviews. The likes of Billy, Steve Stubbins, the way they made me feel when I walked through the gates for the first time was, it's something that I'll always hold quite close to me. And it's definitely something that sort of gave me that little bit more, I suppose, motivation and hunger to come back and give it another go.
Right, I know there's a few local club cricketers on the call. So I think George, Dave, Jack, Theo, Chris, even. Over the past couple of years, you've had that sort of added responsibility of opening the batting and the bowling in red ball, which is pretty rare in this day and age. How do you prepare yourself sort of physically and mentally for that, kind of not really knowing till the morning of the game what discipline you're going to be doing first?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture. Obviously, you try and utilise the winter months. I'm always been someone who likes looking after myself physically. Enjoy the gym, enjoy sort of pushing myself that little bit further. Which sort of helps with that role because you don't have a lot of time off your feet. You're constantly involved. But yeah, it's just, I think during the game, it's you just try and make sure that you're not burning yourself out on stuff that you don't need to do. So I try and do my work a couple of days before in terms of my preparation. Make sure I've done all my homework on the opposition, know what I'm going to come up against with the bat and the ball, and make sure when I'm in that game, it's just more of a free flowing sort of thing where it's just me in the battle and obviously with the lads trying to get a win. So it's those couple of days before the game are massively important to me. So yeah, and then obviously in the evenings, it's just a case of trying to recover as best I can, whether that's going swimming, stretching, foam rolling. Unfortunately, when you get niggles and stuff, you've got to ice it and all the rest of it. So yeah, the evenings can be long evenings, but it's something that I enjoy doing.
That's great, thanks, Liz. And yeah, we said earlier, so you just completed your first game away at Warwickshire last week, which was a bit of a cold one. We were just discussing before the call. It was in particular Saturday morning. You said it was bitterly cold, but at one stage last Thursday, having been put into bat, we were 7 for 3, and you were at the other end. So you must have been kind of thinking it's not a great start, but in the end, there was lots of positives to take from the game, and it ended as a draw, and potentially could have been a really interesting couple of last sessions if the snow had not arrived on that Sunday.
Yeah, and I think you only have to look at 2019. I think it was a similar sort of story in 2019 against Durham here. I think unfortunately I was one of the wickets to go early in that game. But yeah, it just shows the fight that the lads have got. And I think you've seen it over the last 2 or 3 years, especially, is when our backs are against the wall. That's probably when we're our most dangerous. We do fight, we do scrap, and the boys go for the whole 4 days. So yeah, it wasn't a surprise that the lads dug in deep and we managed to get ourselves back in the game. And as you say, if the snow, I can't believe I was saying that in the cricket season, but if the snow didn't interfere, it would have been a great finish. And the way the boys were going and the momentum was definitely with us, I generally reckon that we could have got a win if those, the last remaining 2 or 3 hours of the game stayed on.
Probably mention for, I'm not picking out individual players, but Matt Critchley in particular with a 50 in both innings, especially first innings coming in when that pressure was on, probably batting much earlier than you expected in the game, and he just seemed to play with a lot of fluency in that first innings in particular. Yeah,
he was brilliant, and it's fair enough to Critch for his hard work. He works extremely hard in his game, and to come out there when we were massively under the pump, to change the game around that he did. Like, I was speaking to the umpires at the end, it was like he was playing a different game to me. I asked him if they had a job as a third umpire going. Just he made it look incredibly easy, while it certainly didn't feel that way for me. But no, he found fantastic fluency and rhythm to his batting, and to get 250s in on the opening game of the season in tough conditions. I mean, we had the floodlights on, it was grey cloud, it was freezing. It was just fair play to him. He played out of his skin, and even Harvey on the last day, it was, a great fight back, and it just showed what we're all about, is the fact that even if we are behind the 8 ball, we never give in. And I think if that's something that you want your team to do, is never give in, and you want them to fight for everything. And, as being a member of that side, it made me incredibly proud to see those boys actually going out there and delivering.
But definitely showed our sort of strength in depth, like you say, with batting in particular. Similar to what I asked Sam a moment ago, it must have been weird playing in front of no crowds last year. So again, how much kind of do you feed off that when you know that there's people, in the stadium that are going to be kind of cheering you on every run you score and every kind of wicket you take?
Yeah, I think it's only now when you look back at last year and you sort of realise that there was no fans and spectators there. It's actually how much you buzz off them when they are there, especially our home crowd when we're back at the Incora. Like, it's a great atmosphere, especially for the 2020s, to get a sellout crowd and to play in front of them. It gives you that sort of, I suppose, 12th man to your team where you want to go out there and just put on a bit of a spectacle. And I think the lads really thrive on having that support, and we've got some incredible fans. I've said it a number of times, the amount of support that we get as players, whether it's on social media or face to face, it's unbelievable, the support that we get. And it's something that when they come back in, it's not there, just not there for us. We want to give something back to them, and we'll be trying to put on as many spectacles, or trying to get as many wins for them, because they've been away for the last, I suppose, 18 months now. We want to really get back and make them feel back at home supporting us, and get them involved.
That's great. And just one last question for you, Lewis. So over the past couple of years, you've done your fair amount of charity fundraising for the PCA. So you've grown I'm trying to think from memory, you grew a full beard. You ran was it a 5K in your full kit, helmet, pads and gloves, etc. And you also dyed your hair blue at one stage. Have you got anything else lined up for the year ahead?
Well, at the minute so I'm doing this, the Runs for Change for the Lord's Taverners, where you can sort of donate for every run or wicket that I take. So that's obviously to help more kids get involved in cricket, and whether it's a great program, and hopefully that will be something that takes off throughout the year. Last year I had some unbelievable support. I've already been in talks with the PCA about doing a bike ride from London to Paris in October. So hopefully sort of can raise some funds for them. But there are going to be hopefully a few more things in the pipeline, something that I'm trying to sort. But obviously during the season you try not to do as many taxing things on the body. But yeah, probably try and stay away from the blue hair. Didn't realise when you sweat the blue was going to start dripping down my face, so I'll try and stay away from that this year. But hopefully there'll be a few more things sort of going around. It's something that I enjoy doing, and those people that sort of help me in different sort of organisations and the charities that I've raised for, they'll definitely be something I'll always try and get involved with and try and help them in return, really.
Fair play. And I'm sure we'll kind of, as a club, will push your activities via our own social media. But again, I know that you tend to do that a lot via your own sort of Twitter and Facebook accounts as well. So yeah, good luck for those challenges. Good luck for the season ahead. Time wise, we're almost on track. So what I'll do at this stage, so thanks to Ryan, to Ajmal, to Sam and Lewis for their time this morning. If anyone's got any questions, please add them in the chat box below. And just while people are thinking about what they might want to ask, the only thing I've got left to mention is that Ryan kind of hinted at this. So we are looking to run our Marketing Derby Beer and Balti nights as we've done in previous years. Obviously, we didn't do it last year. And the game we've kind of got earmarked for that is the T20 against Leicestershire Foxes on the evening of Tuesday, the 22nd of June, when, potentially if we do hit that next stage in Boris's roadmap, that, we might be able to get more people back into the ground. I know that some football fans out there will know that we're playing, or England are playing the Czech Republic that night. So we are going to look to kind of get a screen in the marquee. So if anyone wants to follow both on the night, that they can do. But yeah, just a date for you, Darian. What Lindsay and I will do at some stage over the next few weeks, once we get a bit more clarity on how we can run that night, is we'll share, or Lindsay will share information with you all, including how to book. But that's pretty much from me. Well, anyway, thanks for having us this morning. I'm going to hand back to Lindsay now, and hopefully we'll see you all at some stage at the Encora County Ground over the summer, whether that's for cricket or non-cricket events. So thanks for your time.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Ryan, and thanks to the rest of the team for your time today. We really, really appreciate it. And as Ryan sort of said earlier on in the call, that it was March last year, we were still thinking we were going to be welcoming 200 people to the county ground, and we left it to the last minute and just thought, it can't happen. So hopefully next year. But as Jimmy's already mentioned, Beer and Balti on the 22nd. David Torrington's favourite event of the year, second after the Christmas ball, obviously. So we'll get that invite out as soon as we can for that. That's it from us. So thanks again all for your time. And what I'm going to do is open the breakout rooms. You are welcome to stay on and have a catch up. So thanks again, everybody.